Welcome ladies and gentlemen to the Authors Meet 2019. Among us we have the renowned author, Joseph Bruchac, and I would kindly request him to come on stage. Joseph Bruchac has written Code Talker and we would request us to tell about his novel. Let's give our precious guest a grand welcome.
Thank you. Dear friends, thanks a lot for your warm-hearted welcome. I'm feeling excited to be here. I will share a brief summary of my novel, Code Talker, and request you to read the novel. Kiyoshi taking him to school, which was a long distance. As the traditional students had arrived, they were well with jewelry and bracelets, wearing moccasins. And as manners they introduced themselves by name, clan of father and mother. Some older kids were playing in blue uniforms who had lost their Navajo manners. As they entered first, they got a haircut, since in the Navajo tradition hair was considered to be sacred and it was misfortune once cut and all their personal belongings were taken away and later sold to European Americans. Instead they got a blue Ichi uniform and cap. Their names, which were in Navajo like son of the grey mustache. So, an interpreter gave them random English names like Nebigan. If they ever spoke Navajo, they would have their mouth washed with soap or get beaten up. When no teacher was around, they spoke their sacred language. Kiyoshi did well in school, and unlike most he got to go to Navajo High School. Soon after the Pearl Harbor attack, America was desperate in creating Marine Corps. There was a big problem: the Japanese had learned all Indian languages as well as English. And radio transmission could be easily intercepted, so Japanese could know the secret American messages. However, they couldn't learn Navajo because of its complications. First Navajos were denied, but then for the task special Navajos who were fluent in English and Navajo could join. They were ready for not US but to protect their sacred lands. In training, most of the exercise were part of their daily routine, like walk 5 miles with 1 canteen of water. Navajos walked 20 miles when they were traded. The only problem was swimming. Most of them somehow got across. Others grasped for help. The trainer often pushed us, but the Negi lifted him and threw him like a rock. And when he landed at the bottom, he stood there. The next time he walked underwater to the other side. Finally, he learned how to have voice, and the trainer taught them proper way of swimming. That they shaved our head, they looked bald. At Camp Elliott 2 Navajo court rules taught us. Then they got shipped out to Hawaii to get some more training. They weren't allowed to tell anybody even long after war had ended. They practiced on the Reconquet Canal. They successfully invaded Guadalcanal, Akanewa, Iwo Jima and a couple of others. Japanese soldiers were not supposed to surrender. When in trouble, they usually carried out benzine attacks during the night. A benzine attack was when a soldier came running screaming with a knife, gun/rifle, or even sharp sticks. They usually jumped into foxholes and stabbed a person. Whosoever was not in a foxhole was thought as enemy and was shot. On one island there was civilian living. As they had told everyone that Americans were devils and that they tortured to death, soon the women killed their children and themselves. They wouldn't listen to what the Americans said because they were informed that Americans usually tried to deceive. They also found that the camp food Navajos had collected for the poor people after a devastating earthquake was actually supplied to soldiers when they prepared their bunkers. In July 1945, when Akanewa was invaded, the Emperor Hirohito of Empire of the Rising Sun requested for Japan to accept a light, but the council there, in charge of military, neglected it. Before the bombardment of Japan, a light plane dropped millions of leaflets warning of bombardment. Then after the atomic bomb, the emperor announced the surrender of Japan. When they got home, the Indian had a better reputation than before, but not as good. Neg also discovered that his family had died and had terrible nightmares of wars. Thanks for your patience listening. I will request you to read the novel and I hope you will enjoy it. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the day.